So we are now recording the February 10th, 2017 Small Business Accounting Advisory. Hello, everyone.
Wow.
Everybody's super busy now, huh?
Crazy busy. Crazy busy.
Crazy busy. For me, too. Every time I think I get a moment, all of a sudden something else happens and I'm back behind the 8 ball. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I've been getting crazy calls, too. Silence from everybody. I have heard 2 times this year, and it just blows my mind, that CPAs recommended to small business startups, don't bother with QuickBooks, just use an Excel sheet.
I hear that all the time inside the LuLaRoe group. There's constantly these girls are coming in saying, my local CPA I went to said, I just need a spreadsheet. And I'm like, well, then he's a moron.
Yeah.
Part of the problem, I think, though, is that CPAs probably get to see a lot of QuickBooks data files that have not been set up by a pro advisor.
I think that you're right, Linda.
By somebody that's used to a spreadsheet, and they've totally messed it all up, and it's just useless. That's my.
I've got a spreadsheet I'm looking, or a QuickBooks file where they've got liabilities that are really assets, and so you got these crazy negative balances that don't make any sense, you know.
Well, that all has to do with, I mean, that all goes back to how each CPA firm decides to run their tax practice. Because for me personally, I don't do a return unless I've done the QuickBooks file.
Yes.
If you don't want me doing this QuickBooks file, then you can, I'll send you along down the road, because I don't have time for that. I don't want to bother with fixing up that mess, because half the time they don't want to pay you to fix up the mess.
Right.
They just want you to do the return.
Yeah.
I agree. There was somebody who asked the question. She gave a price of $1,800 to 2 bank accounts and 2 credit cards, and I divided it all up by how much a month, and she was getting, by quoting that, she would get $33.33 a month for each of 4 accounts to reconcile them. It came out to like $130 a month for if you get 1,800 months, $1,800 for 12 months. And I'm going like, if he can't afford that, cut him loose.
Yeah, exactly.
Cut him loose. So
Shouldn't be in business.
Oh, one more thing. I got to go. My dog's at the vet. I need to check it, but I'm dealing with a rat man now, a man that deals with rats, because we have rats.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay, I'm going to mute you.
Superwoman!
Just multitasking.
Oh, my gosh.
You know the rats out there, they look like weasels. They're that big.
Well, for me, this week was contractor week. And I got a call from the same person. I know it was the same person I talked to last year.
Don't you love that when they pretend dumb?
Oh, my gosh. Well, the conversation went something like this. Hi, so-and-so recommended me. I'm looking for some help with bookkeeping. Okay, how can I help you? What do you need? I need bookkeeping. Duh. Well, okay. Did you finish last year's work, or are we doing this year's? Well, I need help with 2016, 2015, and 2014. Okay, so.
Did you ask him if he's got 10 G's just to get going?
What information do you have? Well, do you have bank statements? Well, I do, but it's got all personal stuff in it too.
Oh, God.
It just gets better.
Oh, my goodness. So then I say, okay, how many transactions about a month are you talking about? Is it a lot of work? Well, I made 60,000. Oh, well, that's a plus,
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Yeah. So I'm like, well.
How did he even know how much he made? If he
Right. You can't
be on cash.
The expenses are right.
Yeah.
So I gave him my price, and he literally dropped the phone and had to call me back.
There was this bang or clang on the desk or something.
Yes. I'm like, whoa. And then he calls me back, and I said, well, nobody can do your bookkeeping unless you tell them or give them the information to do it. I mean, really. I really left the conversation with that. I'm sorry, anyone that you talk to, and I hear more things like, well, I went to this super high-powered accountant, and he said I need to get my bank statements from for all 3 of those years and mark my expenses. And I said, that's exactly what I would tell you to do. Well, I don't know how to do bookkeeping. Well, I am telling you, and it's the same thing the other person you talk to, you are going to have to do some work. Nobody knows what you did in your business except for you. And if you don't know, how is somebody else supposed to know?
So it sounds like Gina basically told him to put his big girl panties on and become a business owner.
Well, I was really getting sucked in, and I was really starting to feel sorry for him. But then, you know what? $60,000, and he didn't spend 1 penny on bookkeeping. Sorry, pity party's over.
Yeah. I hear you.
So, yeah. And I didn't realize that I had talked to him last year until I got off the phone. I'm like, man.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah, this sounds familiar. Here's another wasted 10 minutes.
I had a call last week from a guy, and it was a really quick call. He was a local guy here who the lead came from the college, that I speak at the college once a month. And he needed some help with putting together basically some preliminary projections because he's going in for a loan. He's going in for an SBA loan. So I said, well, that's something I definitely can help you with, but I would only do it. I only do that type of consulting for clients that are on board with me for everything. I don't no more of these one-off things. I don't need to make money on these one-off things. So he's like, oh yeah, I definitely would be interested in talking to you about that. So what I did was I sent him a link. So just like a free, 20-minute session. I said, we can do it remotely or online, however you want to do it. He's like, oh, great. Send me the link. So he books the link. The time comes around Tuesday and he never shows. I was at my office. He didn't show at my office. We decided we were going to make it local because he said he was local to me. And he wanted to bring his stuff so that I could try to pull together and talk to him and, give him a price. So he doesn't show. I waited 10 minutes. And then I sent him an email and I said, I'm sorry, I had you scheduled for 4:00 today. Here's a link to reschedule if you want. However, it's going to be for an hour of my time and the charge is $200. And that's just to get the consult for me to actually do the work. And then if he decides that he wants to work with me, I would apply a portion of that to the final bill. So I'm done with all these. I don't have time to play games with that stuff. Like Dwayne was saying, we are busy trying to crank out tax returns and trying to get people onboarded. I got 6 engagements I have to send out this weekend, and I don't have time for this wishy-washy stuff. So if sticker shock is an issue for people, then I'm like, fine, this is how much I charge right up front. I have no problem with telling you this is what it is.
Let's get it over with now.
Let's just get it over with. If you're not interested,
with it, then the best thing is find someone.
Get on down the line. I told some lady today, this is a funny one, and she called me. She's a local person this is like the website design stuff that I do, right? Website with the VIP day. And I gave her my price and I said, I'm not the cheapest around, but you get a full VIP day where I show you how to use WordPress. You get 2 hours of support afterwards to help do whatever. And we teach you a whole social strategy around your website. So, and I go, here are 3 other people you can call. And I gave them the name. I go, this guy I know does websites. This lady I know does websites, and this lady I know does websites. Call them. I have no problem if you don't use me. I just want you to have a certain platform. It literally was like a half an hour, and she messaged me. She said, "Send me the engagements." I'm like, okay, we'll do.
Yep. You don't mind doing that for somebody that's all in, but somebody that's going to fight you at the very beginning, already it's not worth the battle anymore, not worth the time. There are so many good clients out there that are willing to do what you need to do. And I do put my prices high just so that I can give a discount.
Well, and I like the ability to be able to, for me, I really like the switch that I've made to making all my things like a monthly fee, so that it helps them budget and it helps them prioritize where accounting and bookkeeping is, and taxes and tax planning on their whole business plan, how important it is for them. This is how much, to put it in perspective, this is how much it's going to cost you per month. And it's a monthly fee, and we do the work quarterly, we review quarterly, for that tax prep quarterly service and stuff.
What's your range of pricing that you have?
What's that?
What's the range of pricing that you have?
It depends. I mean, it's anywhere from as low as $150 a month on up to $550 a month. It's basically, my stuff is like a quarterly review, tax planning, tax prep with different meetings throughout the year. And then the other thing I do is, like I said, right now, people want me to do 2016 taxes. No, if you onboard me for 17, I'll give you a flat fee for 16. I just come up with a flat fee, right? I give them a quick quote right now. I kind of know, no matter what businesses is, like what Gina was doing, how many transactions do you process a month? I know how long it's going to take me to do it. And then I'll just give them a price, and then they have to sign the 17 agreement, pay the 2 months, pay the year before. And so I get everything all paid right up front. And then they're already on a monthly fee for 2017. So I've got almost like 80 to 85% of my clients all on a monthly fee. And so my revenue is now more equal throughout the year.
I always have done monthly fees.
That helps them too.
It does.
Because, when you get to like halfway through the year, you look at those numbers and something's off. You can call them and talk to them, and there is still time to fix whatever problem there is.
Well, the other thing I like about when I do this, when I set this up with people, is I explain to them, I'm like, look, we do have certain set meetings in place, right? We do 4 quarterly meetings. We do a year-end tax planning meeting. We do a tax prep meeting in January, February when their tax prep stuff's done. But I always encourage them. I said, feel free to reach out to me at any point in time. If you have a problem, if you're not understanding a QDO, if you have a tax question, if you are trying to lease a car and you want to know the difference, you call me. I'm there. We have the appointments. I'm not charging you anything extra for.
Right.
Sales tax done, I'll do sales tax. If you need 1099s done, I'll do the 1099s. I am not charging you anything more. That just makes them so, like, my clients are in contact with me all the time, just asking me little questions and stuff, but they love that. And they love not having to think she's going to bill me 20 minutes for that. She's going to bill me.
Right.
I'm on the phone with my accountant, I'm going to get billed. They love the ability to say, this is what she's paying. If it goes beyond scope, so for example, if I do for one client, if I didn't do their bookkeeping, I'm just reviewing their file and I see that they totally didn't do bookkeeping for 2 months, they are going to be automatically moved to the full service bookkeeping rate for those 2 months that I have to actually put in all that information.
You tell them that up front before you move them? And
that's right in the engagement letter. This is not full service bookkeeping. This is quarterly review. If I feel that you are not keeping up to you being the bookkeeper and doing things that is going to cause additional time, I will let you know an addendum, and you will be sent a bill for the balance so that we have to do the full service bookkeeping.
Now, do you review their balance sheet or something to do the projects? How do you know that their bookkeeping is correct? And what is it you do?
What's that? One more time.
If you're not doing the bookkeeping and you have your meetings, how do you know that what they're putting in is correct?
Well, I review their file.
Okay.
That's part of my quarterly review. I have access to their QuickBooks file. I have a whole review process. I go through, I see, do they do the bank recs? Do all the balance sheets? I mean, I've been working for a CPA firm. I worked 20 years before I started my own firm. So I know really good how to review a balance sheet.
Right. That's what I do. Right.
make sure the loans tie out, make sure the P&L ties out, payroll ties out, and see where things might be miscoded. So we go through and do all that. And honestly, if I see a lot of major bookkeeping changes, I throw it right back to the bookkeeper's lap. Because a lot of times there's a bookkeeper that's doing the bookworks that I'm either working with, or they're doing their own bookkeeping, and I will throw it right back to them. I said, 3 months have not been reconciled. Have your bookkeeper do it.
Now, what apps do you use other than QBO? What other apps do you use with these customers?
Qbox?
Maybe, Qbox for any desktop clients, HubDoc to be able to have all the bank statements always available to me. They have a choice of using HubDoc or Box.com to give, because I want all bank statements, even though I'm not doing the bank recs. I want copies of all the bank statements, all the loan statements and stuff. And that's really.
Now, do you pay for the HubDoc, or do they?
They pay for the HubDoc.
Okay.
They pay for the HubDoc. They pay for the QBO. I have my Box account, so the Box account is free for them. So they don't have to pay for that. So yeah, no, they pay the $20 for Box. And
Box costs $20.
HubDoc.
HubDoc, yeah, okay.
$20 a month, and QBox I usually pay for because you get it so cheap. I usually pay for the QBox.
That's great.
Hey, Deb, you haven't been with us for a while.
I've been swamped. I tell you what, I've been like, underwater.
That's what we were just talking about. That was how we started.
I think I put 10 new clients on QBO this week.
Nice. Congrats.
And some of them were clients. I just sent out a price increase letter. And I said, we're changing our platform to QBO. You're going to QBO. And I'm paying for it. So which is a $40 a month value. Of course, I only have to pay $20. And your price is going up by $150 or $100 or whatever it was, because and not one person said.
Nice, congrats.
And what I was the biggest non-QBO person. I thought, yeah, okay, I get it, blah blah. And I put my own file on it finally, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's like I saw the light. And I have to tell you, I have a very complicated file. I have my businesses in there, my 6 rental properties, my eBay business, my personal life. It was all in a big enterprise file. Mm-hmm. And I thought I'm going to run parallel for a while and see if I like it.
Right.
And I started that in October, and I did not finish out the year in desktop.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I
think QBO really, really works as long as you have the right bank. I'm really having issues.
Oh, I have people actually switch them. I ask them when they come in, what bank do you use? I just have a new homeowners coming in, and they're using this Intercoastal Bank. I've never heard of it, which is one of these where you have to get codes. I said that I can't do it unless you change banks.
Yeah.
And they're changing banks.
So yeah, I have a couple of people, a couple of my clients locally that have QBO. There's a local credit union that it's very popular around here that a lot of people are using, and it's not necessarily equipped at this point in time to actually be connected with the QBO at all. But what I found with them, which is honestly just about as easy, it is just like an extra step, is I use that 2QBO Convert Pro and get the statements and converts it just like it's a bank feed.
Nice.
The problem with that is you're not getting the everyday bank feeds, which is
right.
What I
really
like.
But so my stuff is usually I do monthly for them.
Right.
Yeah. So
because I do like the everyday, because I teach them now that, because most of the clients I had I called them after the fact accounting. They would send me all their crap, and then I would put it into the system and produce the reports. But now I said, now we're going to be collaborating using QBO, and you're not going to be changing what you're doing. You're just going to be doing it in a different place. So they're still writing checks, but they now, instead of writing it on a piece of paper, they put it into QBO. It's like, I had a client, I upped to buy $150 a month. And the girl that works for me, she goes, well, what are we doing for them now? I go, nothing. So, it's just like what you're doing, Joanne, reviewing the statements.
Yeah.
All the work is being done by them. And it was already being done by them. I was just having to duplicate it.
Yeah.
So now I don't have to do that.
Yeah, and again, it depends. It depends on how good they are at bookkeeping, and if they really need that, that second eye. I mean, I find stuff all the time that they're doing wrong in the file. But the beauty of setting up the way that I've done it, at least in my opinion, is that my services also include tax planning and tax prep. Okay.
You use that Tax Planner Pro app from Christopher?
No, I use Drake software, and it has its own built-in amazing tax planner that basically duplicates a tax return, and it's amazing. So I know
that his actually takes your QuickBooks data, that Tax Planner Pro software. I mean, I kind of looked at it, but I haven't used it. I wondered if anybody uses that.
No.
Mariette.
Yeah, I use it. I've been using it for a couple of years. It's amazing. It really works well with my clients that have multiple entities. So if they have like 3 QBO files, it automatically pulls it in, the QBO files into the system, and then it creates almost like a consolidated report of income, expenses, and tax projections, and basically their tax liabilities.
Now, is that something they're in every month, or what's the mechanics of how you use that software for them?
Well, just to keep it simple, basically just think of it like QBO. Like you go in there, you say, update, it'll bring it in, and then all of their numbers will be in there. I mean, you can use it as basic as just looking at the numbers, creating a report, telling your clients what their liabilities are. Like Joanne said, if you're already doing tax prep, really you could just use your software for that. You can't really consolidate like the way Tax Planner Pro allows you to do unless you kind of export into Excel and then kind of add them all up. But you can use it as basic as just a tax, I would call it like a tax balance tool, just to give your clients their quarterly taxes, where you're going to find a lot of value. And this is why I talk about it all the time to bookkeeping professionals, is that you really should use it as a tax projection and a tax planning tool. So Chris has created what are called like scenarios, tax scenarios, and tax basically ways to do tax planning and where you can save tax. Let's just say you try to do like a SEP IRA or something like that. You can put those different tax scenarios or situations in there, like what if scenarios basically, and then you can use that more from a discussion perspective. And that's where I think bookkeeping professionals should really take a look at it, because it'll take your practice to a whole different level. I mean, I really don't know any bookkeeping professionals that do tax planning, but just so you know,
they shouldn't unless they're doing the tax returns.
Well,
that's my opinion.
Because that's not my opinion. Because I think a bookkeeping professional should know the full picture.
They should know it, but they shouldn't be advising the client.
Right.
I tell all of my clients, because I do book work for people that I'm not their tax professional. I give them no advice whatsoever when it comes to taxing. They ask me tax questions. I'm like, the person who is signing your return needs to do that for you. If you want my advice, then you need to engage me to do your taxes. But I don't think, I mean, it's great to be able to say, hey, give it a heads up. You might want to talk to your tax person.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
But the problem is that could cause discussion, and because I mean, Mariette, there's probably, of the people that are sitting right here now that do taxes, we probably all tax plan slightly differently. Not necessarily that one's better than the other, but you don't want somebody going a different route how they maintain their S corp than somebody else, and the bookkeeper could be taking from another school of thought, and that's not something that you want them to do. You want them to be consistent with what the tax profession is actually doing. That's just my opinion. But
Mariette does have a point. If you do see something happening, you can point them in the right direction.
Okay, this is the way I think. I agree with both of you. I agree with Joanne. I work for 5 different CPAs, and every single one of them, and I do taxes too, and every single one of them work differently. Some of them don't want me to say anything and literally just stay quiet, make sure the books look good. And then, anything that's, high level tax planning, tax forecasting, projections, whatever you want to call it, that's my job. Okay. I have another client, another CPA, well, they're like my clients because we work together, but where he's like, no, Mariette, use all those cool tools, get all your clients all like techie. And when they come to me, they're like beautiful. And it's like, they're educated, they're beautiful, they know what's going on. We can talk about much more, exciting topics, especially like if they're in the tech or startup industry. Like it's a much more valuable discussion when they come to me versus when they don't know what's going on. So it's like, it depends on what kind of tax preparers you're working with. So I get what Joanne's saying.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to educate the people out there that are strictly just bookkeepers and aren't CPAs or EAs. What they have to understand, if they start offering even the looks of slight tax planning, that needs to be documented in their engagements. They could be holding themselves liable if they take the tax advice of the bookkeeper. They didn't sign a return. I'm thinking E&O insurance is going to come into effect with that. You really have that's like stepping up the type of an engagement that you're actually offering, unless you're going to do it off the cuff. And then if it's not written in the engagement letter, then how does that protect you?
Plus, they better read Circular 230 also.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just you got to be really careful as a bookkeeper with those tools. That's
right.
No,
I agree. I wouldn't say that they're doing tax planning. I would say that they're using tools that are going to give them a heads up and that are going to educate them, that they see full circle what's going on, and they should have a meeting and say, hey, let's call your CPA, the CEO, and myself, and let's sit down, let's have a meeting. Because a lot of those CPAs, like you guys started this first conversation about how, just send me a spreadsheet. Like, what are they going to get out of a spreadsheet? There's no actual analytical tools off of a spreadsheet unless they're doing, graphs and what is that other thing? I haven't even looked into it, but what is it? People pivot tables and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah, so unless you're doing all that, you're not doing analytics. And so, again, I take the approach that I would never encourage a bookkeeper or bookkeeping specialist to say they are tax advising or tax planning, but I would encourage them to understand this.
Yeah, but they have to clarify that relationship with their client, because let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times where I have just talked to a client about something specific, like something like setting up X, Y, and Z or whatever, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I have to do that. And I'm like, no, you need to talk to somebody. Like, you need to talk to a lawyer to get that done. Don't take my advice, because people misunderstand that. If they hear it coming from somebody that they trust, which is somebody who has been doing their book forever, they could just all of a sudden say, yeah, I'm going to go out and set up that SEP account, and I'm going to, because not all clients are that. They just want to jump the gun and get something when they hear something really good without actually going back and having that meeting with the CPA and making sure it's right.
Well, I wish they would. I mean, I had a client that this year I'm going through his books. He keeps his own books, and I'm looking at it going, what is this Charles Schwab thing? He goes, oh, my tax preparer, I don't do his taxes. His personal tax preparer. I do his corporate. He has a personal tax thing. He said that I can put money into a 401k. I said, that comes out of your payroll. And he said, just put it into payroll. I go, it's January 31st. No, we can't do it. It's over. Why didn't you tell me this January 1st of last year?
Right.
He said it would be okay. I said, the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This is the same guy that looked at his corporate return and said, this guy, he works out of his house. And he, so all of a sudden he goes out to eat, and I put it to distributions. I mean, he doesn't meet with clients. It's like me putting my own food on my books, so.
Wait a minute. You can't do that?
No. So Eddie, the tax guy looks at his corporate return, calls me up and says, how come you didn't take any meals and entertainment? Because he ate his Well, he could take $11,000 in meals and entertainment, and nobody, he could get away with it. I said, it's not about getting away with anything. I mean, okay, so if I murdered somebody and got away with it, it would be okay?
Sure.
So anyway, the client wanted me to change the return. I said, look, this is your baby, but I mean, I totally disagree with this. Tax preparers like that absolutely drive me bonkers. Yeah. Oh, you could take this, take this. Nobody will know. You can get away with it. No, that's
not represent you when they audit you.
They look at percentages and they just say, oh, well, you can deduct this because it won't bring up a red.
Same tax guy said, this guy's making about $250,000 a year.
Pigs get by, hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah. This guy made $250,000 about that. So he calls me up about Jen. He goes, I don't want to make so much money. What?
Why are you in business?
My tax guy says if I make more than $250,000, my tax bracket's going to go really high. I go, yeah, on the amount over $250,000, not the whole thing. They don't do the whole thing. I mean, are you in business to make money or
Just
Avoid tax or,
So I said, look, I'm about making money here, not about not. If you don't want to pay tax, close your doors.
Yeah, you don't make any money. You don't pay any tax.
I said, go to the side of the road, hold up a sign. I'll work for food. They don't pay me. I mean, these tax guys, some of these tax numbskulls out there, they absolutely drive me crazy.
I had a good one. I had a lady with the home office, and I had the schematics and the square footage, and I had this, nailed. And I never get adjusting entries. Very rarely do I get adjusting entries on my books. And there's this adjusting entry for exactly $5,000, which is, office or whatever it was. And so I called up the tax preparer and I said, "What's this?" He said, "Keep me out of it."
What? You did the
I said, "What?" He said, "It went to the partner and came back that way. Keep me out of it." So I told my client, I said, "Look, I know this partner and he's a crook. Okay? And he will fraudulently prepare tax returns all day long." And I said, "You think he's the greatest thing on earth because you never pay taxes?" I said, "Here's how this works.
He's not going to sit next to you in jail.
Yeah, I said, "Here's how this works." I said, if the IRS gets wind that this is the way the guy does tax returns for other people, they can subpoena his client list and audit all his clients. Somebody else can get caught. And you will get caught up in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That made her change CPAs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they think they can get away. I just
love them because they all can get what is it they do? He does reviews and stuff for all these construction companies, and they all can get loans, no problem, if they go to Gary.
Well, yeah. Well, Gary's the man.
Gary's the man. And Gary will say,
Wait a minute. Give me what's Gary's phone number?
I'll represent you in tax court. Yeah, $225 an hour. Sure, he will.
Well, I think as a state society, we have a few problems with that too.
Oh yeah.
Mariette, with the Tax Planner Pro, do you pay for that, or how does that work? Do you have that?
Yeah, you pay for it.
And
Yeah, I usually I pay for most of the stuff except for QBO. I pay for HubDoc just because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all part of what I charge them anyway. Unless it's like a big expense, like if it's less than $20, I usually just pay for it because it's basically the way Tax Planner Pro is you add in more clients, and as you add in more clients, it's kind of like an additional charge. So to have to calculate how much more it is for an additional client, that's just too much work for me. It's really my planning tool. So I wouldn't charge my client for me to plan with
now,
them.
can they log in and see this stuff, or is this only for you to look at?
They can, but I don't have them log in. Yeah, this is something. I have a quarterly meeting with them or a monthly meeting, depending on, if they're like my multiple entities, I meet with them monthly, if not quarterly. And, but just so you know, I actually started using QuickBooks Self-Employed because they have a really cool tax planning projection tool inside of the system. And it's so easy that, and it's even cheaper, obviously. So I've been playing around with that for a real simple projection. But, again, I just want to make sure I'm not encouraging people to just go out and do projections and tax planning. Of course, me and Joanne and other people that do it, we do it all the time, so we feel comfortable with it. I just want people to know there are tools out there. Make sure you know how to do them. Make sure you know how to use them. And sometimes if someone doesn't, like if a CPA or a tax preparer doesn't know about them, I like for people to say, hey, guess what? I'm your bookkeeper, but I heard Mariette says there's a cool tax planning tool called Tax Planner Pro. So sometimes I bring it up to other accountants and professionals that don't do tax prep because I think they should share that there is a really cool tool out there that, that can help their business. So, but yeah, so I pay for it. And honestly, at this point, I don't even know how much I pay because I use it so much that I don't really focus on it. It can't be that much. I mean, probably less than $50, $60. If I had to add up all the softwares that bill me monthly, I don't know.
You should do that.
I don't want to.
Don't look.
I don't want
It's not big enough for me to worry about it. Like if I feel like because I put everything in an account called, monthly subscription to softwares, and that account is never like over a couple $100. So as long as it's not, I don't.
Yeah.
Really,
That's what I'm saying. You just should, as long as you have it like underneath one account.
I
have one, my account, I call it SAA, software as a service is kind of what I call mine. And I usually scan through it like a couple of times during the year and I'm like, oh, why am I still paying for that? I'm going to cancel that. I go through my whole list and just clear things out. So, because it leaves me room to try new things.
Play with something new.
Which is what I did.
I asked you guys, I think I put it on our group, and I said, the only one that pops out at me is Bill.com.
I was just about to say, what about Bill.com? Because I have one client, it's like
I literally have had it for 4 years, and I've never used it. Like, literally never, ever used it. So I'm like, should I pay $30 for something I literally don't
No, get rid of it.
Right.
I know, I should get rid of it probably.
Yeah, I got rid of it when I had.
Because I feel like I'm going to use it, like, I don't know why I'm
when you get a client, then take it back.
Well,
I love Bill.com. I really do. I love the fact that it has the approvals.
Right.
That
Now, for clients, I love it. But if you don't have any clients on it, then don't pay the $30.
right.
Yeah, I don't have
How are you paying? How are you doing the billing, Gina? Because mine's all over the place. Sometimes they hardly have any bills at all, and then they'll just be, $130 fee.
I charge for me, if it's a small client, just put somebody on Bill.com. It's an added value service.
Yeah.
I said, well, how many bills do you have a month? Oh, maybe 20. Okay, well, for you, it's $250 a month. I'm okay with that. He pays me to handle that, and I cover the Bill.com.
I counted their checks, and I assumed that nobody's going to do ACH. They're all going to be checks, and then I just averaged it, and then added.
My most expensive client on Bill.com was a $10 million company, and everything went through Bill.com with checks and ACH.
Yeah.
And my highest bill with them was $350. That was
My
the highest one ever.
average is about $50 a month, and I make them pay for it. And like that, I only do. Pardon?
How many users though? Because you take the one or two people that need to approve. So there's $20 right there.
No, it's $5. If we pay for it, it's $5 for an approver. If they pay for it, it's $49 an approver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I had a client that I was paying for it, and then they came. Well, no, we wanted it under our name. I said, you realize your $250 bill is going to go to $1,250.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, that can't be. It is, and that's exactly what happened. So then they said, well, we don't want to use Bill.com, and it's too expensive. So what are you going to do? And said, well, we're going to hire somebody now, and we're going to have. Where are you going to put him? Oh, we're going to lease a new office. Okay, so instead of paying $1,000, $12,000 a year, you were paying only $250. But you want to pay $1,000 a year. You're going to have a staff member that you're paying $35,000 for, buy her computer, and then a new office to put her in. I said, that's stupid. Plus checks, plus postage, plus printing. So then when they switched out of Bill.com, all the vendors were now calling me because no one was getting paid.
Right. Well, that's part of the reason exactly why I do tell them if I'm going to be doing your accounts payable, I'm using Bill.com. There's just no question.
I'm not doing it any other way. I'm not sending out things to approve. You use Bill.com, or that's not a function I want.
So Deborah and Gina, so basically you use this for companies that this replaces checks, basically, right?
Yeah, accounts payable.
Accounts payable.
Now I have restaurants that use it, and everything goes through Bill.com. Even the stuff that they write the checks for at the restaurant, send it up to Bill.com, write the check number on it. I still process. All the AP is in one bucket.
It becomes your document management system.
It's my document management thing for AP. And I tell you what, it saved our butts a lot of times, especially in sales tax audits.
Oh, good.
What about Mineral Tree? Does anybody know anything about Mineral Tree?
No, I thought that was a makeup.
I'm going to talk to them next week, because they have a different angle than Bill.com. So I want to see what their deal is.
Awesome.
And then
there's XT bills too. We talked to them, Sarah, Bill, like Sleater or something.
Gina,
yeah,
did you ever
some of those.
You wanted to learn about how supposedly it was going to integrate directly with QBO. Did you ever find out about that?
Yeah, it's just like they announced it and it just sort of went away.
That was
Well,
a
there's
big.
a difference between bank bill pay and bill.com.
Yeah.
When you're doing the banking bill pay, it's just like per vendor. There's no, with bill.com, you got the whole process,
Yeah, I mean, like with bank bill pay, you still have to then enter the payment. The vendor doesn't know what bill that's being paid.
right.
You're constantly having to say, well, what bill did this check pay? So I said,
Right.
I'm not doing that. They come to me as the expert. I said, this is the tools that we use. Take it or leave it. I mean, basically, I say it nicely.
You want to say it that way.
Are you sure you say it nicely?
Yeah.
I must come across as really mean or something. I'm not mean, but
No, you're tough. I love it. I'm the same exact way. I'm so tough. The other day, someone just told me that. You're like, you're tough. I'm like, okay. Anyway,
I mean, you're like the most non-tough person I know, but but I have my process, and I said, this is how we do
Your
it.
way of doing it, and you're successful for a reason, and one of the reasons is you're following your plan.
Right.
Once you change it up and somebody puts something else in there, it's no longer your plan, and then there's that.
And I have to charge. And I said I have to charge you more because now you're disrupting my process.
Right.
And you know what, Deborah, when you act like that, though, I think, even Joanne and Seth has been saying it a lot more too. I think the fact that you encourage people without you actually saying it to stay true to their own model, because you're letting us know, like, okay, I'm successful. I'm staying true to my model. Maybe if you stay true to your model, you'll be successful too. Like, you don't really have to say it, but it's a good learning tool. I mean, that's what I hear when I hear people talk like that.
Well, I mean, I argue with my husband all the time. He's my worst critic, And he'll say, well, the customer's always right. I said, no, they're not. They're always wrong. I said, customer comes to us and says, I want to deduct my Maserati as a business expense. All right, well, customer's always right, so we should do it. No. I said, we define the plan. If I have a steakhouse and I serve steak and someone walks in and says, I want spaghetti. Do I go out and buy spaghetti to make this customer happy? No, you want steak. I serve steak. If you want spaghetti, go down the street. So he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I'm also using bill.com for my invoicing. For the monthly repeat people, I have them on automatic bill. The bill goes out to them automatically because they're on bill.com. It goes right into their account. All they have to do on their end for the bills is say accept, and it's accepted, and it goes right in the to be paid. You don't have to enter anything. All the information is there. And it just makes it a lot easier. The flow is much easier.
Well, I've been using the QBO thing with the signing up for the ACH. First off, it was funny because we just started using that. And my husband says, what's all this money coming into the account?
It's great. I have it set up because my clients, because I actually set up my merchant, my QB payments account through the IRP group I'm in. So I process a credit card charge, I get a commission on it.
So, can I do that? You can do that?
Yeah.
Joanne waited, and then she just strategically, and then she strategically got commissioned off her own account. I love that. All of us were already on QB payments, damn it, and now we have.
I was never on, so I signed because you can't already have an account. But if you sign up for your account after you sign up to be an IRP, you can make commissions on your processing. So, and now they've just recently set it so that you can actually do a recurring sales receipt, and you can set it up as ACH or credit card. So, and I just called today because when I signed up, and this is anybody else who did it, if you signed up and you still didn't get credit during that time where they were offering the IRPs, the zero ACH, I now have that fee is waived from my account. They were charging me 50 cents an ACH.
So they are paying you to process your credit cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's just QBO, not desktop.
Right. So that's what I do now. So I've kind of changed up my onboarding process. So now I do my engagement letters that were currently done through like 17 Hats, and then I had them paid through 17 Hats. I'm still doing some of them through 17 Hats, but I'm making the invoicing and giving them the option of how they want to pay through the QBO, the first initial invoice, and then the follow-up invoices I just set up as recurring, so I don't have to do anything with them. But lately, I'm actually thinking of switching out of the engagement process. I know, from 17 Hats to PandaDoc, because I'm in love with PandaDoc. So I'm going to be working on that this weekend, and I can report back how I like that. But
I use PandaDoc.
I love PandaDoc.
I use it for my engagement letters because you can switch things around and proposals and.
Do you think you could use it to collect W-9s for clients?
PandaDoc?
I'm sorry, what, Sarah?
Is it called PandaDoc?
PandaDoc. Yeah.
PandaDoc. P-A-N-D.
You want to put the link?
Like the animal.
Like an animal panda with a DOC.
Panda with a DOC.
Can you?
Okay.
Would it be a good tool? Because I saw that it had like workflows and workspaces. Could you actually? I have a form, a W-9 letter for every client with their logos and everything. Could I use it as a tool to collect W-9s?
Yes.
And you can even use it to sign 88.
Sign documents too.
You can even do it to sign 8879s too.
Yeah. So then you can even see when they send it out, when they signed it, send it back. Yeah, that's all part of it. It's like $200 a year.
Yeah, it's
cheap. You can get the higher one. I think then they have a library you can pick from, but I didn't do that one.
I think I'm going to get the middle one.
Actually, the middle one, I didn't know that.
That was, Sarah, that was one of the other things that blew us away, that you could actually see that how many times they open it, what section they spend the most time. So obviously if they go in and they don't even look at the content at the top and they scroll right down to the bottom to see the pricing, and they spend 10 minutes looking at that, you know something's up.
Yeah. Yeah. I when the lady was giving us the demo, I'm like, Olivia, that's kind of pretty creepy, I got to tell you, but I love I love being able to see how long this person has read through before they signed the engagement, what they concentrated on.
Stalking. You're stalking.
But you could also tell if somebody doesn't even read it, they sign it, but they never read it.
Yeah.
Mine would do that. They had to go right at the bottom sign.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. But I mean, what I liked about it is that, like, I don't have one of those things where, like, I'm not using like any of that Citrix stuff, like the share file, and I don't have a portal where I send crap to them and the emails that, because I don't do a ton of tax returns if you're looking in perspective compared to people that are just like focusing on tax season and then they do 1040s and then they have nothing the rest of the year. So for me to have this as a solution for my engagement stuff and being able to customize things and also be able to do the W-9 stuff and be able to do my engagement letters and also my 8879s and being able to send the tax returns to the people through PandaDoc, I think it's brilliant for the price.
More comprehensive than any individual, even Smart Sheets.
I think it's a different product.
Yeah,
I think it kind of compares. You can kind of compare it to what's that one that's $89 a month? I think it's too much money. Practice Ignition.
Practice Ignition, yeah.
Oh, Practice Ignition, yeah.
And I think their product's good, but I'm not paying $80 a month for that. I'm just too much.
Right, but like you said, but for this one to be, I think it ends up being like $39 or $40 a month. To be able to do all that stuff, it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I like that you can pay it annually.
Yeah,
because every month when I hit those bills my husband walks in and says, "What's this for? What's this smart vault charge?" 10 years I've paid smart vault every month. I told you all the story about I was buying an app. It was $8. It was $9 a month, or it was $8 if you paid for it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm filling out the thing, and he comes in. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm buying a new app." "Oh my God, you're going to bankrupt us. We're going to get you out of business. You're spending all this money on this stuff. You're going to bankrupt us." I said, it's like $80. I don't get so much money, blah, 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 blah. So I said, all right, I won't do it. So I go to my client, who's a friend of mine, and I said, "Hey, Brett, you do me a favor? If I gave you $80 in cash, could you put this on your credit card?" I'll do that for you. Every year I give him $80.
Just so you don't have to listen to your husband.
I love that story, Jennifer. That's one of my favorite ones. I love all your stories, but that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, what husbands don't know won't hurt them, right?
I tell him, I said, I don't go shopping. My clothes I get at garage sales. I don't go shopping. I don't buy jewelry. I buy software.
I buy software.
I buy education. I like, these Udemy's and Coursera's and, that kind of stuff, and software and apps and And you know, when we moved everybody to QBO, I did this huge spreadsheet about the cost savings and, you know, like I don't use, who uses QuickBooks Online Payroll? I don't like it. I use Intuit Online Payroll for accountants.
Yeah,
Because it took me 2 years to figure out all the words and the difference. But QuickBooks Payroll costs $2 an employee, while QuickBooks Online Payroll for accountants 50 cents. So why wouldn't I use that for 50 cents?
Big difference. I want to change the subject and tell Mariette, thank you for the WISE stamp. I finally set that up last week, and I don't know how I lived without it before I
Oh,
did.
do you like it? I know. I think Joanne uses it too, right, Joanne?
Yeah, I've been using it for about 5 years.
Yeah,
I have WISE stamp. I use that.
I love it.
Yeah, every time
I just love how fast it moves. Have you played around with it where you update it and like literally a second later, it's like a race. It's like how fast I get to my Gmail to see the difference.
Right, right. I'm smiling every time I send an email now. It really looks so professional compared to what I had before.
Yeah.
And actually, just a quick hint on that I figured out, anyone that uses 17 Hats, is that now that 17 Hats has customized signatures, which I think they added that a few months ago, you can copy in, you can't actually connect WISE stamp to 17 Hats, but you can copy in your WISE stamp signature exactly the way it is out of WISE stamp into 17 Hats, and everything will stay the same, links and everything.
Oh, nice.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because it seemed like when you put it in, it turns it into plain text. But I've already tested it where I've sent myself a pretend email, and it looks perfect, just like as if it was from your regular Gmail account.
Yeah.
Nice. So we only have a little bit of time left, and I guess saving the last till now. Dennis, do you want to talk about this morning at Seth's show from Chris Reagan? That was where I heard well, he said pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. I heard it as pigs get by, hogs get slaughtered.
And we basically just talked about entity selection for a company, and we kind of focused on S corps. We talked about an LLC converted to an S corp, being taxed as an S corp, and then we got into things like accountable plans, which is a way to shift some of, it's kind of like a home office expense on a Schedule C, but it's usually, you can't do that you can't do that kind of stuff on an S corp, so you do an accountable plan, which basically you set up expenses and a policy, and then the corporation reimburses you for, like, say, your home office or part of your mortgage and that kind of stuff. So effectively, it's a way to transfer the expense to the corporation without having to recognize any income on the accountable plan. And then we talked about basis on S corps and the importance of basis. And
well, I liked that what he gave thresholds. You know, well, first of all, he said LLCs are like walking through the mall naked.
No, he said no. Those were sole props. Sole props.
Sole props were like walking through the mall naked, which I found hysterical.
Yeah, he talked about when would you become an S corp versus a sole prop.
Limits as if you're an LLC and you're only making $20,000, you're okay. If you start making, $30,000, $40,000, I think 40 was the limit he gave for S corps, that you'll want to go to an S corp status.
Yeah, it depends. Like I said, every accountant's different. I mean, for me, I do my clients when they got to be like over 50.
So 50 is your limit?
70 for me, because it's got to be worth it for them to administratively have to handle running payroll and having those additional expenses of actually processing payroll for them and stuff. So,
and also the amount that you have to pay now, because you have a new tax form to file.
Yep.
So
you kind of take that all into effect. But there's a lot of again, this is why I don't like to talk tax stuff online anywhere in discussion groups, because I personally had a conversation with a local CPA about how he runs his S corps and what he does as far as what he considers as reasonable compensation. and he does basically 0 returns every month just for withholdings, enough tax to pay the taxes on the income, and everything else he pushes through as a distribution.
Now, what does he do? Wait, say again.
So, okay, say for example, somebody has $150,000 in taxable profit for an S corp. Okay,
Right.
What he will do is he will calculate how much, if assuming that whole thing went over as just distribution or basically accounted on as how much tax would they have to pay. Without it going through paying the self-employment, right? And then he calculates a 0 check and just pays in the withholding tax. So the W-2 from the S corp for the year ends up being just basically the gross up to be able to handle the withholdings, and then the balance of everything they just write out still monthly distribution checks. So basically what it ended up being was a $30,000 payroll, and he pushed over $120,000 through to the personal return. And he said he does that for over 300 S corps every single year in this area.
But he does it at year end and not during the year?
He does it, well, it depends on when they take them on. If it's a client they've had, they do it every month. They do a 0 check every month to them. If it's somebody they take on at the end of the year, they will do 1 check at the end of the year just to make sure they have the withholdings paid in.
That's when the IRS gets a little pissy about.
Yeah. But still, the point is that's getting on the topic of reasonable compensation. And if somebody has $400,000 of income with $150,000 of taxable profit, what's considered them pulling out reasonable compensation? I don't think $25,000 is. But this guy said he does it all the time, and it doesn't.
Right.
Well, I was thinking, I always talk about reasonable compensation. If you were to hire somebody to do your job, what would you pay them?
Right, and that's what the definition is. That's what the definition is with the IRS. But this guy's saying that nobody plays by those rules, and he saves people $20,000, and he's been doing it for ever since LLCs and S corps came into existence in this loophole. And I was just like blown away, because I've been working for 20 years. The CPA firm I worked in this is what reasonable compensation is.
What did they use?
Let's put it this way. Let me just say one exception with that. So this guy will do this that way, like I talked about, this guy I talked to, with the exception of the last 5 years that this person's going to be in business, and then he goes up to the Social Security base for the last 5 years. So,
well, that's stupid, because it's a 30-year average for the Social Security.
Well, he's saying again, this is what he's saying. He goes, really only the last 5 years matters. Only the last 5 years.
Well, that's not so. It's a 30-year average. So,
I'm just telling you what he's saying to me, but that was what he's saying. So anyways, our old bosses, they would just do up to the Social Security base and then distribute the rest. So.
Right.
Everybody's different with that, and I'm thinking,
that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like discussing this online, because there's so many. You just have to stand by your motto, and honestly, if you get audited, you have to be able to prove your point. And you know, I just know for me, the one thing that I've seen, which was a little bit different from the scenario that we're talking today, but I've seen a scenario where somebody got audited for doing a single paycheck at the end of the year. And he took distributions throughout the year, and the IRS went back and reclassified those distributions as payroll and charged them for not filing 941s and blah, 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 for the whole thing.
Joanne, we brought that up today to make sure people are aware, because that's a big thing. People try to say, once a year.
I've personally seen that happen. And that would, like I said, and that was just like a random thing. Like if the guy never got audited, it would have never got found.
Right. We do that. I take my paycheck. I see what my profit is. I take my paycheck at the end of the year. My tax deposit in January is a killer.
Yeah, but like I said, but what they do is so let's go right back round robin again for what Dennis was talking about with the accountable plans. Okay, the purpose truly of an accountable plan is for the person who has the S corp to actually have a supporting document for when he writes a check to himself, that it's not to be considered a distribution and it's not to be considered payroll. You have to have a supporting document to prove that this was an expense reimbursement for a business expense. So it's usually just a 2-page document, because I do it for all of my S corps too, where we do business miles. When you reimburse yourself business miles, if you're an S corp, you have to have an accountable plan. Otherwise, the IRS could consider that to be compensation and make you you should have paid
Now,
it in payroll.
what do you have to do to have an accountable plan? Do you just have to have a document in place? Is there
You can Google it online. It's literally a 2-page boilerplate document that basically, and you can tweak it depending on if they do reimburse other employees, right? But it's basically a 2-page document-ish where you say that the business effective certain date, and we usually make it the date that the thing came in business, that they will reimburse employees for business expenses either monthly, annually, quarterly, and they have to have supporting documentations and blah 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 blah. And then the company corporate officer signs it, and it stays in their permanent corporate file.
So it's kind of like,
It should be a journal entry. It should be a physical or a check that goes.
It should be a check.
I agree.
A bank with the trail through a bank account.
Yep.
So
Because-
Joanne, I actually did a webinar on the changes they're making to the S corps and the reasonable compensation.
Mhm.
They have made major changes, and they are actually actively going after people now with the accountability plan.
I've seen that. I've heard that though for years.
Yeah.
The
Reasonable compensation.
reasonable compensation. So
But I've heard that for years.
Yeah, they've been doing that forever.
no. Literally, they have just put new regulations in place. I'm serious. I was like my jaw dropped. I was like, what? And
What's
they're going to be going after folks more. They're going to be scrutinizing it even more so.
Yeah, and then so here's the other issue too. So and it's hard to do that because there's a lot of people now that are using that are basically leasing themselves, that are using employee leasing companies, and they actually run their payroll through a leasing company, so it shows up on their corporate tax return as a leased employee expenses instead of underneath office's compensation. So
That's what it is. It's not, they're leased employees. They're not employees of the corporation.
That's what I'm saying, but it's hard for the IRS to be able to test those because it's lumped underneath, and you can't separate it out, because if you actually separate it out, then they're going to say, well, where's the 941? Well,
Exactly.
I leased myself. So, which, I mean, you can do, but again, it's all like if the people get audited and the IRS starts digging in, that's where they're going to find these things out.
And that is the real answer. Can this stand up to an auditor?
Yeah.
You can play whatever game that you want to play, and you may get by for a little while, but the real deal is if the auditor comes knocking on your door,
Right.
will it stand up?
Well,
yeah, but you can also, if you don't like the result, you can also take it to appeals, and then you might have a little more, get a compromise, because appeals officers tend to be a little more reasonable than. So I'm suspecting in your case, Joanne, maybe they didn't take it to appeal, and they got stuck with it.
yeah, well, and here's the thing too, when it all comes down to it, I mean, from my history of how long I've been doing taxes, which is almost a total of, 30 years. I hate to even say it. From working at the firm that I was at, plus being in my own business for 9 years, I have been involved personally with maybe like 5 audits in 9 years. So what this tells me at this is that we know that if a tax professional is signing the returns are somehow not that readily auditable. Like they don't necessarily pick tax preparer returns unless there's stuff totally wrong with them, right? If it hits like a red flag. So obviously having good standards to be able to file your returns is very important. But what's happening is that that's why this guy who's been doing the returns here like this for years, their firm none of their returns ever get pulled for audit. He's like, we've had like 2 paper audits in like 10 years. So again, it depends on the industry. It depends on the type of clients they are and wherever the red flags show up. But I can tell you when it comes to audits that I haven't seen hardly any of them. I don't know if they have there's no employees to do audits anymore, or if they're putting on different industries. So what it does come down to well, yeah, it might not ever get found, but if you get audited, that's what's going to happen.
Well, think of the number of returns that are filed think of the they don't take your return and go, oh, here's Debbie's return. Let me look at it. My dad thinks they do that.
They do. They do.
It's all by the computer. So that's why they put that code in there.
Mm-hmm.
So they have ranges.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I did a dentist. I finally fired her. I said, look, dentists don't buy groceries for patients. Well,
just candy, right?
Well, I've been doing taxes since 2007, and I got my ERO in 2010, and I started my first tax season was the 2011 tax season, and so that's what 8-9 years or something total, and like 5-6 years on my own. And I've had one audit, and he was randomly audited because at least the auditor said it was because he was showing, he wasn't showing a big enough profit or something. That was what they said. But he was it's a transportation, he's a limo service. It was a single person, a sole proprietor, Schedule C, and that was it.
We've had one. I mean, sometimes they'll come in here. We're not doing their books. They come in. We had one guy come in. He put the crackers. When you go to 7-Eleven, you see the crackers in the thing. To buy Lance crackers. So he says to Hal. Hal goes, well, okay, what's your mileage? Oh, I drove 100,000 miles. He goes, well, what's your territory? Oh, right here in Port Orange. 100,000 miles? No, it can't be. He goes, put it down. That's what. Put that down. He goes, Hal goes, you're going to get called. He goes, put it down. He goes, you're going to get called. Sure enough, Hal put it down. Puts it down. Guess what? He gets called. What are you going to do about this? I owe a tax bill. Hal says, assume the airplane position. He goes, what's that? Put your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye. Pay the bill.
I love it.
I mean, usually it's because something is so far out of whack. We had another one called her medical expenses were so high, but they were true. He proved them all, no problem. But it's usually because something is so far out of whack that it just gets called. But there's so much.
Somebody has something against you, and
they have
or if
they get
somebody
referrals.
Yeah,
I mean, people snitch on you. I mean, the IRS calls them referrals.
Yeah. So when it comes to all that stuff with the, reasonable compensation and accountability plans and, when to switch from one thing to another, that's all going to be by tax person. They're all going to have different opinions on it. And I tried to explain that. You don't know how often I have to explain that inside the LuLaRoe group because it's so hard. And I'm like, I can't tell you my opinion unless you're my client. If you're my client, we can have a discussion with it, but you need to talk to somebody because there's no right or wrong answer.
Right. And I think that's the hardest part.
Explain it. Because let's put it this way. I wouldn't want anybody to be an S Corp unless they're working with an accountant throughout the year to do tax planning. It's stupid because people do not know how to do an S Corp and they'll probably pay themselves too much or too little. And there'll be
not have an accountable plan for anything,
and there will be no tax savings.
Or they'll have a loss and still try to take it out.
Or they'll have a loss and still try to take it and have no basis in the company.
Right.
Yeah, that's always a good one.
I had somebody in there like this. I mean, just clueless. She says, "I don't understand how this works." I said, "Well, you had sales, and you had expense, and you had net profit. Yeah, but I put $20,000 into the business. Where's that? You spent it.
Want to pay taxes on your own money?"
And there was a party. Well, I put in 20. My partner took out 20. I said, well, you should have just given him the money.
Right.
He just took. You put it in. He took it out.
So actually,
well, how do I get my money back? You're not.
So back to that audit that I had, I just realized why he got audited, because this was something that was the auditor was hyper focused on was his 1099s. So what I think happened was his audit may have was triggered by somebody else who had worked for him that he had given who was supposed to have received a 1099, or he had given them a 1099, and that person was under review. And because the agent kept zoning in on the 1099s. And apparently a couple of the people that I guess worked for him either never reported or they couldn't find it, because previous to being audited, he had gotten phone calls from the 1099 division. So I have a feeling that kind of triggered it so that they could get all of that information.
Oh yeah.
Because there was really nothing else on his tax return for them to audit. Like everything was like, we had backup for everything. And again, the guy, you know, when I started working with this guy, I said, look, we got to change how you're doing things. We need W-9s for everybody. And we need to document. And the thing is, like, we documented everything and we were able to, and I went with him to the audit and I was able to literally point out everything to the auditor. He was like, okay. And the issue that held him up was the whole 1099 issue. So I have a feeling
anybody getting blowback on these January 31st? I mean, I don't know why they changed that deadline, because now we're getting corrections all the time and having to change.
Well, I knew that was going to happen.
I know.
I knew that was going to happen.
I mean, what numbskull the IRS decided that was a good idea to change that to?
They were trying to cut down on the identity theft.
I think
So-
there
There
was
was a
a
big problem.
big badgers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, what I did was I ran all my 1099s through the 10 matching program and got a boatload of mismatches. And we spent, it was all LLCs too. And because the instructions say use the taxpayer's name if they're a sole proprietorship LLC. And they were failing. So then I switched it up, put the LLC name in, go through. It's about 50-50.
Wow.
Well, the problem is, you know, they fill out the W-9 with their LLC name and the EIN, but then the owner makes the check out to the person,
Well, that's different.
you know, so it's like,
That
you
one I
can't do
need
that.
for social, yeah. But I'm talking about, you know, regular LLCs, and I beat it in their heads to get that line 1 to be that sole proprietor's name. And you know, if you really read the small print on the W-9 instructions, LLC sole proprietor is not supposed to put an EIN. They're not supposed to put the EIN of the LLC. It's the
Right.
stupidest thing ever. Well, of course they all do. And I don't want their social, quite
I don't want their
frankly. I
social.
don't think anybody should give out their social. So, because they don't know where this piece of paper is floating around on some vendor's desk, you know.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
So now
That for years.
I'm figuring out about 50-50, for me anyway, of these EINs are the LLC's name and not the taxpayer's name. So we tested them all, and I know they're all good. So
A lot of work, though. A lot of extra work on your part.
well, now what we're going to do is we're incorporating it into, if we do people's quarterlies, it's going to be part of their quarterly engagement. And we set up a smart. People are just uploading their W-9s, into a folder, and every quarter we're going to test those.
Nice.
That's why I was
We
real
don't
curious.
have to do all of it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
All righty, everyone. We are about out of time. Great discussion again this week. We'll see you all next week, same time, same place. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
It's a good weekend to read.